Hey guys, it's Tony Thompson. Welcome back to another episode of Chasing Excellence. Hi, welcome back to Chasing Excellence. I'm Tony Thompson, your host, and I'm excited to have today my guest joining me. It's been great chopping it up over the behind the scenes and really just getting to know her and her company, Emily Rowley, who's the president of First Colony Mortgage on the retail division side. Emily, thanks for joining me today.
Tony, thank you. It's such an honor to be here with you. Thanks for inviting me.
Now, I see some beautiful mountains. It's a little cloudy back there, but I think you're based in Utah?
Yes, we are a Utah-based company, started in 1984 right here in sweet little Utah. Right on the mountains, too. It's beautiful here.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting out to Utah. It's beautiful ski country and just beautiful country as well. And so, again, for those who know me, I'm usually based in Orlando or out of a hotel most of the time. And so I've got to get over to Utah to really check out the views, but it looks lovely. First Colony, for those who may not know First Colony Mortgage, share a little bit about who the company is.
Yeah, so First Colony, like I said, has been in business since 1984, Utah-based company, and for a lot of years was a pretty small shop, just stayed fairly local here in Utah, experienced great growth, but really localized growth. First Colony is such an incredible company. This place has my heart. I've been here since 2004, so a long time. I've been here a long time, 22 years in the industry, and I've worn a lot of hats on my journey here. So First Colony is a company that's very culture driven. We are very collaborative. It's a company that's willing to calibrate and fix things as quick as possible to keep up with the market. I would say we're a very forward thinking company. And in fact, in a way that gets a little scary sometimes, but we want to be at the forefront of everything that's happening in this industry, especially because this industry is moving faster now than it ever has before. So we're keeping up.
Great. First of all, 2004, and you're still in business.
Yes.
Congratulations. That says a lot about leadership, says a lot about culture. A lot of times, I get calls and text messages every day when I'm traveling. Hey, Tony, thinking about looking at a company. What do you think? And one of the first things I tell them is I want you to go and research two things: how long the company's been in business and how long the leadership has been at that company. Because normally that's a really great sign, Emily, of what I call culture. And so to me, it's always when I can see a company that has been around for what I call a moment, that's been through different cycles, and the leadership has been there for a moment, that's usually the beginning of something special. And so congratulations to you, First Colony Mortgage, for what you guys are built and what you're building as it relates to your journey as well.
Thank you. I mean, I'll throw out there also, I'm not the only person here in leadership who's been here for many, many years. We've got a lot of people here at this company, that have been here for 15 years, 20 years. And
Wow.
it's been
Love it.
fun growing this place with these guys because I basically have been working with my best friends for the last 22 years, growing something beautiful.
I call it
It's been-
family.
yeah, it's a family. This is a family. And my best buddies. Like, we were kids when we started in this industry and hustled hard. And now here we are running this company and growing it and creating something that's stable, creating something that is, to me, it's a beautiful place that people love to work at. And we've surrounded ourselves with some incredibly talented people.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I had to get you on Chasing Excellence, because as I got to know a lot more about First Colony Mortgage and hearing your story, I'm like, this has to be a Chasing Excellence episode because I really love the journey that you guys are taking. Speaking of journey, Emily, I like to say we all have a story about how we got into the mortgage industry. Emily, what's your story?
Oh, it's funny. I've never once heard someone say, "Hey, when I grow up, I wanna be a mortgage loan officer. I wanna be in compliance." No one ever says that. So, um, honestly, I actually went to college and got a degree in psychology. And in between my undergrad and grad school, I was going to go out to the University of Kansas for grad school, was accepted, had I accepted back, I was going out there, but in between, I started working here at First Colony Mortgage, and I started as a processor. And I didn't process for very long, but I had this window of time where I needed to make some money before I went off to grad school. And so I processed for a little while, but I was watching, back when I got in the business, it was a very male dominated business generally. And I watched all the guys, all the loan officers, and they were all out golfing, marketing, creating relationships, doing all the things loan officers do. And I was sitting there processing their loans and I thought, "Man, I can do what they're doing." And I know I can do what they're doing. So I went to the owner of the company, one of the founders of the company, an incredible man. His name's John Aldrich. It was founded by John Aldrich and Scott Shelley here in Utah. And both were great mentors of mine, men that I have crazy respect for. Um, Very grateful for the opportunities that they've given me. But I went to John Aldrich and I said, "Hey, I want to get licensed. I'm going to go get licensed." And he said, "Oh, honey, I do not think that's a good idea." And I was like, "Why?" I feel shut down right now. He didn't think I should go get licensed. And so back then, I don't know if you remember, but it was really, really easy to get licensed.
Yeah.
So I did what I needed to do, went and got my license and hit the ground running doing loans. And, the licensing that I got licensed, I think it was at the end of 2004, just in time to start building my business, and it's growing. And then 2007 happens, 2008 happens,
Yeah.
2009, all those years. And it was really interesting because, like I said, I was running around with my best buddies hustling. We worked hard to create relationships and grow our businesses, and we were all loan officers at this point. And, even though that crisis was happening, me and these guys that I was running with, we didn't even know how bad it really was. We were just gonna go hustle and get business. And so at that time, uh, we were still having fun. We were still making money. We definitely weren't closing anything insane because that wasn't happening then. But we also started focusing on where we should be putting our attention to grow the business. And in 2008 and 9, we really put a big focus on builder business.
Okay.
So
Yep.
all of us together, as we were growing as loan officers in this industry, started focusing on those relationships along with our outside real estate agents, referral partners, all the other places that business comes from. And we were able to grow some really incredible accounts that got to a point that we were able to share with other loan officers. There was so much business coming in that we were able to share with other loan officers. So one of the things I'd say about this journey is that one thing that we did that was massive was we followed the law of generosity and the law of abundance. And there was always enough for everyone. And we wanted to include others in the successes we were having. And so we did. And we still do to this day. We have a lot of relationships that we created back then that are blessing the lives of a lot of people here today. So again, I was a loan officer. But I had worn the processor hat. I did do some assisting during that time, and I was exposed to a lot and really learned a lot. And I always say the best loan officers did start in processing, assisting, and being exposed to all of those scenarios that might kick your butt later if you haven't experienced them before, right? So
You
anyway,
know,
yeah,
I,
what's
I
that?
agree. I agree with that sentiment. I think some of the best originators are those who come out of the operation side of the business
Mhm.
because they understand and have a perspective for both of those. The other piece that I want to pull out and really, I call them nuggets. Have our audience to take away is um, sometimes you just have to go for it. And
Yeah.
early on, you mentioned, hey, had a great mentor, but when I said I wanted to become an originator, they're like, "Are you crazy? This is the jungle. You shouldn't be in the jungle." Back then, male dominated industry. Even
Mhm.
today, we are still highly male dominated, even though we've grown in terms of the diversification of females and people of color in the industry. We're still a very male dominated industry. But you said, "I don't care. I'm going for it." And so again, chasing excellence is about helping everyone to just become 1% better. And so sometimes you just got to tell yourself, I'm going for it and
Yeah.
go for it.
Well, and on the other side, if you just don't ever go for it, you're always gonna
Oh,
stay stagnant. I agree with everything you just said. I think you feel the fear and you just do it anyway. And you
yeah.
gotta we just hosted a boot camp and you said in our conversation that we had earlier, you were talking about wanting to bring youth into the industry and trying to build that part of the industry up because there aren't many young people in our industry right now. Our average age, I believe, is getting close to 50
Yeah.
as loan originators in this industry. I'm talking strictly salespeople, but
Yep.
we had a boot camp for young new loan officers, and our entire campaign was bet on yourself. Take a
Oh,
chance on yourself, bet on yourself, and we give them the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like getting into this industry, you might not make a lot of money for a few years, but you will make money
yeah.
if you're consistent, if you're good at creating those relationships and servicing people the correct way, and if you have integrity, all of those pieces. But I think anyone can succeed in this industry if they're willing to bet on themselves, but then you can't just bet on yourself and expect it to happen. You got to bet on yourself, then you got to hustle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Again, going back to as I've gotten to know First Colony Mortgage, just one of the things that I really admire and respect um, is for a company to realize that the future of our industry is the people that we go out and introduce. Because one of the things, we mentioned earlier, your story, there hasn't been a person yet, not too many times, I would say, that said, Yep, Tony, I was in college. I was majoring in psychology and I decided to change my major to mortgage banking and to go work for First Colony Mortgage. And so being able to just as an organization, as a company, realize and understand that the future of our industry and the future of your company is bringing in young talent as well, helping them to understand that by betting on themselves and that this is a great industry to make a difference in the lives of people and the communities that they live is powerful. But it
yeah,
also says a lot about the vision of First Colony Mortgage. So I love that. Kudos to what you guys are doing there around
thank
bringing
you.
in that next generation. And hey, anytime you need someone to just pour some love and some knowledge into those young people, make sure you look me up because yes, my biggest fear at night when I go down to sleep are two things. The first is, you know, are we bringing in people that can continue to make sure this is an industry that is respected, that
Mhm.
is admired, in terms of who we are and what we do. And then the second thing that keeps me up at night is what you said earlier as well, Emily. I want to make sure that if today is the last day of my life, that I want to be able to say, I did not leave anything on the table. There was not one dream. There was not one goal that I wanted to aspire to elevate to, that I wanted to chase in terms of being excellent that I didn't pursue. Whether I failed or not, that story remains to be determined, but I at least want to go out saying, I did it.
Yeah.
I tried.
You tried. You had a goal, you tried to do it. I mean, you can dream big, but if you don't actually take action and push
Yeah.
through the fear of something, the fear of failure or rejection, like you're saying, it's it's everything just to try to put
Yeah.
yourself out there. So,
So love that. We're going to pivot for a second. Our industry right now, a lot of noise, interest rates, housing affordability, uh, you know, to some people, real estate partners, not enough of those. From where you sit in your seat, Emily, what do you see as the greatest challenge in our industry right now?
I think the biggest challenges that we're facing right now, in addition to everything you just said, because all of those, I mean, affordability is top of mind for everybody right now. You see a lot of builders working hard to fix that problem. Lenders are chipping in, all parties are chipping in. I'm seeing a lot of really clever ideas that are coming up surrounding affordability. I think the biggest challenge for lenders right now is number one, keeping up with how fast this industry is changing. You've
Mhm.
got to keep up. And if you don't keep up, you won't be able to survive, in my opinion, as a mortgage company or even as an originator. You've got to be willing to calibrate where needed. You've got to adopt AI. I don't think there's a way around it. If there's anyone out there not adopting it, and that includes the individuals within the company. So you've got to have a company that's full of people who also see that vision and are willing to adopt the changes and be aligned in the vision of that rather than give pushback. I think biggest thing that a company needs to do right now from my standpoint is be ready to sprint.
Yeah. Yeah. Recently I hosted a conference just for operation executives because, a lot of times we talk about front of the house, but also on in the back side of the house, um, companies are going to have to understand how do we leverage technology, how do we leverage AI, and how do we leverage human capital? Because the last 3, 5 years, a lot of companies tech stack, tech stack, tech stack. They built the tech stack. Now we have AI that is, I like to say, an add-on, but you also have this human capital piece where you're trying to manage and maximize productivity and cost. And so I also think for companies that are looking at how they execute on the backside for the LO experience, for the customer experience, and also the company experience when it comes to maximizing profit and profitability is going to be paramount in terms of winning as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, things are getting really expensive. When you look at the credit report costs, that's
Yeah.
unbelievable for a mortgage company. So the cost to manufacture a loan is insane right now. So there's a lot. I think there's a lot that we could all band together and try to accomplish as far as the cost to manufacture goes.
Yeah.
And then I agree, like people have to be ready to adopt these things that are coming in, and again, it's moving so fast.
Very.
The other thing that I think we've focused a lot on is trying to keep our clients in our ecosystem. So we've
Mhm.
done some cool stuff as a company. We've opened an insurance company. I know other companies have done this too, but we've opened an insurance company. We've got a reverse division. We've opened a wholesale division. What else have we done? We've pioneered a tech company called Tidal Wave AI. I'm not sure if you've heard of Tidal Wave yet, but
Mhm.
I think they're moving fast, and we've rolled that out. It's been pretty incredible. And I mean, we're just really trying to find a way to add value to our people, but also keep them in our ecosystem.
Yeah.
So any part that we have to send out, we're hoping to keep here.
That is a great, also a great thought process. When I talk to leaders a lot, one of the things that I try to have them to think about is start building that customer journey for life. We
Mm,
always talk about keeping the customer and staying in touch with them is important. But also, I think in today's environment, particularly whether you have older consumers who are baby boomers and they're trying to figure out, do I stay in my home or how do I manage the equity and leverage that in years that I'm looking to retire? Okay, again, you go back to the first time home buyers, they're going to purchase 2, 3, 4, 5 homes maybe in their lifetime. How do you become that trusted advisor? And so companies have a unique opportunity to actually keep in touch and really create a customer for life approach by really being that first point of contact where customers come to you for insurance, for mortgage,
mhm,
maybe for title. And I call it revenue stacking, Emily.
mhm, yeah,
Being able to look at ways that you can continue to derive revenue to then take that and invest back into the company, invest back into your greatest asset, people and technology. And it seems like First Colony understands the importance of revenue stacking to really drive profitability, greater
yeah.
profitability per client.
And even with that revenue stacking, we're always still trying to follow the law of generosity. So the people that are here, I like that you just said our greatest asset is our people. Uh, couldn't agree more. When we talk about our company to anyone, we're talking about the culture. And I know a lot of companies can talk about culture. I get emotional when I think about this place because of the family that we've created. And although we're growing and that growth definitely makes keeping the culture a little bit trickier,
Yeah.
but the people are our greatest asset here. We have the most talented people in every section of this company. We've got the most incredible ops people, sales people, leadership team. I am so grateful for who I'm surrounded with every day, and the people here are definitely our greatest asset.
I love that. And again, that's why we've got you guys on to Chasing Excellence because I love the journey of where you're headed and where you've come from. Speaking of journey, um, as you think about our industry, being a leader in our industry, being a female leader in our industry is even more difficult. Again, just historically, our industry has been a male dominated industry. What's that one piece of advice that you would first give to someone out there who's looking to continue to elevate their impact into the industry?
Well, uh, it is hard. It is hard being a female in this industry. I have worked really hard to try to eliminate the concern of those thoughts in my mind of, I try not to let it be something that I hyper focus on as far as being a female in this industry, but I've had plenty of moments where I'm like, okay, this is because I'm a woman or things have happened and it's real. But what I focus on, my biggest thing is trying to help other people, specifically women. I help all the men here and outside of here, but I specifically love supporting women in developing that self belief because sometimes I could easily take the fact that I'm a woman and that it does make things a little bit harder, and I could let that affect how I believe in myself. And I think overcoming those thoughts and knowing that I can do anything anyone else can do. I can work just as hard as anyone else, and I can work even harder if I have to prove out. And in the end, it's really about proving it to yourself. I love the women that I get to work with in this industry. At First Colony, our CEO is a female. I'm the president of retail. I'm a female. Our chief credit officer is a female. Our COO is a female. And so we've got a leadership team that's got a lot of women on it and men. And so in a very predominantly male industry, I think as a company, we've broken through that a little bit. I also love that you talked about the multicultural facet of things. I have a really big passion towards making sure that we can serve every member of the community here and anywhere that we are. We've worked really hard at developing a multicultural group, and we have again the most talented group of people working in that division, and they're all over the country, and they collaborate with each other and help support each other in making sure that we're serving every part of the community.
Love it. Love it. Well, again, if you're in the business today, you have to ask yourself, what are some of the biggest cohorts of opportunity? And I don't care,
Mhm.
whether you're in Idaho, Utah, California or Florida. There's no mistake in the fact that single women are going to be a driving force in
Yep.
home buying over the next 5 years. Millennials and Gen Z will continue to be a driving force uh, over the next 5 years. They're just going to have these unique challenges of layered income and things of that nature that we got to learn how to underwrite. But then you have also communities of color.
Mhm.
Whether you look at certain markets, Asian, Latino, African American, Native American, there are growth markets in every part of the country that I always like to remind lenders that it doesn't matter who you are, but in every one of your markets, there's an opportunity for you to do more business and to connect and engage more. And so
Yeah.
successful salespeople understand that I must focus to where the puck is headed and not
Yeah.
where the puck is at. So again, love the fact that you guys have a great, strong culture, and most importantly, you've got some great leadership, some female leadership there
Yes.
at First Colony as well. Emily, let's take a trip down memory lane. Let's go back to when you first got into the business. We were talking earlier about how you guys brought in some of your new talent, and you talked about betting on yourself. We've got a lot of listeners at Chasing Excellence, and some of those listeners are just starting their journey, 1 year, 2 years in. Every once in a while, I get a text message, "Hey, I want to become a mortgage loan officer, and I was giving you a name to call to help me understand how to get into business." And sometimes I want to write back, "Are you nuts? Are you crazy?" Like, but no, I really believe this is one of the best industries that anyone could be in. What piece of advice, Emily, would you give that young guy or girl that's starting out in the business today?
I say that all the time. I think we have the greatest career a person could ever ask for,
Yeah.
and the majority of us fell into it somehow. My best advice for the young men and women that are trying to get into this business, Tony, I think they have to come into it knowing the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? I don't ever want someone to come in and I'm going to paint rainbows and unicorns for them. It's hard work. So my best advice for anyone looking at getting into the industry is number one, decide if it fits your personality. I think that's very important. It's not for everyone. This selling loans isn't for everyone.
Yep.
Sometimes if it's not a fit for you to sell, there's other jobs in our industry that are incredible careers also. So my biggest advice is you've got to be consistent in your efforts. You can't do something once and expect a result. You have
Mhm.
to do it
Very
over
good.
and over and over again. You need to have mentors, whether you work for them as an assistant to learn on their files, or whether they're just people you're bouncing things off of. You've got to find a mentor. I think that's incredibly important. And you gotta go out and be willing to be uncomfortable. Like,
Mm.
as you're growing in this
Love it.
business, if you're trying to create a business of selling loans, you've gotta go be uncomfortable. You gotta go create relationships with people, but sometimes that can be uncomfortable. And if you can push through the discomfort, and if you can be consistent, and if you are willing to put in the time because nothing happens immediately, it's just through consistent effort that you'll win. And I've seen great success from people just through them being consistent and showing up.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. That's you dropped a lot of nuggets, as I call it, in wisdom. And so, um, you know what? I do believe, though, whoever gets into this industry today can literally not only change other people's lives, but can literally change them and their families' lives because there's so much opportunity in terms of just the marketplace. But you got to be willing to do the work. And so,
Mhm.
love that. Emily, earlier we talked about challenges in our industry, but let's talk a little bit about excitement. What's one area or what's something in our industry that really excites you right now?
Oh, I mean, the most exciting part of this industry for me is the people I get to meet, the relationships I get to create. But as far as exciting things in mortgage, I love the products that are coming out. I love that they've found products that'll still help non-permanent residents. I'm loving the non-QM line of products. I think they're great. I am also extremely excited about the AI aspect of things. I see loans coming through where a lot of the work is already done, and there's some fear in the industry surrounding that. I'm excited about it. There's people that are a little bit fearful of it. I'm not afraid of it. I think if you again put in the consistent effort to learn it and become the wizard at it, it's going to improve your business overall.
Yeah. Again, this whole AI talk kind of reminds me when first Facebook came out,
Yeah.
early on, and everyone's like, either I'm all in or you got to be, this is the future. And some people are like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. I'm not losing, my client. And ultimately, everyone got to a point of comfort level. And I think slowly over time, over the next several years, everyone in our industry will get to a comfort level of AI at some part of how they use it personally
Mhm.
and how they use it from a business standpoint as well. And so I love your perspective around that. I tell you, man, we've been having a really great time. I want to thank you again for joining me on Chasing Excellence. I never like to leave Chasing Excellence without talking about gratitude.
Mm.
Emily, what are you most grateful for?
I'm grateful. I'm a grateful person. I'm so grateful for so many things. I'm grateful that I've been able to be part of this industry and that I've been able to build something so beautiful in this industry. But my ultimate biggest thing I'm grateful for is my family. I
Mm,
have just the greatest support system and these amazing humans that call me mom or Mimi. And I am so grateful that I've had that experience in my life. So I gotta throw my family in there.
great. Well, look
What
here.
about you, Tony? I wanna know what you're grateful for.
You know what I'm grateful for are two things. First, I'm grateful for every day I get a chance to just make a difference in one person's life through what we do here at Chasing Excellence and what I do in the industry in terms of just trying to give back and make our industry better. Secondly, like you, I'm grateful for being Papa Pia. I call
Ah.
that I'm the Italian grandfather, you
Ah,
know, and
Pia?
Papa Pia, yeah,
Ah,
Papa
I
Pia.
love it.
So
So I'm
that's
Papi
what
Mia and you're Papa Pia.
exactly, that's my Italian grandfather, but, when I look at the future of our industry, when I look at, my grandkids, my whole goal is just to make this industry and make this world, if I can, a little bit better off
Mhm.
than when I first came into it. And so every day, I try as much as possible to call and FaceTime my grandkids because they're the reason why I do what I do, as well as the folks in this industry that, again, my goal is just to help them become 1% better each and every day. That's why we call this podcast Chasing Excellence. And so, Emily, I am so grateful to have you on to hear about First Colony Mortgage journey, your journey. We're going to have you back to continue this conversation and get an update on how the company is continuing to grow and really make a difference out in our industry as well. So thank you for joining me today. Truly appreciate your time and the conversation that we've had.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
I'm Tony Thompson, your host for Chasing Excellence, and I look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Take care.
Whatever is necessary. Chasing excellence.